Leah and Daniel celebrated their second wedding anniversary. At 26, Leah was significantly younger than her husband, who was in his 40s. Leah was initially drawn to Daniel because of his wealth and social status. He owned multiple successful businesses that generated substantial income. At first glance, Daniel might not have seemed appealing. He dressed modestly and wasn't conventionally attractive. Under different circumstances, Leah might not have paid him any attention. Having worked as a model for only a few years, she had grown accustomed to a certain luxurious lifestyle and chose to associate herself with people she believed matched her standards. Therefore, when Daniel approached her in a cafe where Leah was enjoying a drink, she barely acknowledged him and declined his introduction. However, upon noticing his expensive car, she decided to reach out to him herself. After their wedding, Daniel insisted that Leah quit her modeling career. She didn't mind since he fully supported her financially. Living without the need to work and enjoying a life of leisure was what she had always desired. Observing their relationship, it was evident that Leah would never have fallen in love with Daniel for his own sake. He lacked charisma, and his balding head was not particularly attractive. Leah wasn't fond of attending public events with him, preferring instead to spend time with her girlfriends at restaurants and spas, which was how she usually spent her leisure time. It was at one such restaurant that she met Julian, who was unaware that this stunning woman was already taken. Leah always removed her wedding ring when she went out to meet her friends or ventured out alone. When she first saw Julian approaching her, she was immediately attracted to him. He was young, incredibly handsome, and his physique clearly indicated a love for sports and fitness. Compared to her husband, Julian appeared simply dazzling. They sat down together, got to know each other, and engaged in conversation. Without any hesitation or guilt, Leah gave her phone number to the man she found appealing. That marked the beginning of her secret affair. Their constant communication and calls soon turned into romantic dates, which gradually became more intimate. They would meet at his place or in a hotel. To Julian's surprise, Leah always made sure not to stay overnight, insisting that she preferred sleeping in her own home. Even then, Julian never suspected that she was married. Eventually, when her husband was away on an extended work trip, Leah seized the opportunity to plan a short vacation with her friends. Instead, she went to a resort with Julian, where they enjoyed a wonderful weekend together. Leah adeptly concealed her secret relationship from her husband. She lied convincingly and remembered all the details to make her story nearly foolproof. She felt at ease in her deceit. Her husband had a luxurious life, and she saw her relationship with Julian as just an affair. She neither expected nor desired anything serious from her affair with him. However, Julian's feelings developed differently. After 4 months of frequent meetings and dates, he began to realize that he was falling in love, and what started out as a casual and carefree relationship became increasingly serious to him. One night, after an intimate encounter as they lay together on the bed in his apartment, Julian took Leah's hand and said, "Why don't you move in with me?" At that moment, Leah froze and blinked rapidly. The joy of such an offer was not evident on her face. In fact, deep down she felt disappointment. "I'll think about it," she replied with a forced smile after a long silence. This is where things start to go wrong, she thought to herself. She wasn't interested in anything serious with her lover. She was only looking for fun. Julian's proposal had jeopardized their relationship. From that day on, she began to answer his messages less often, ignoring his calls and claiming she was too busy to talk. For a while, Julian attributed her behavior to various reasons, whether it was mood swings or genuine business. But one day, when he asked her directly what was going on, she texted him that she no longer wanted to continue their relationship. Before he could even ask for an explanation, it was over. Leah had completely blocked Julian out. Not only was he upset by the sudden breakup of their relationship, but he was also perplexed as to why it had happened. Everything seemed to be going well. They were enjoying each other's company and were comfortable together. However, As soon as he hinted at something more serious, Leah disappeared. For the next few weeks, Julian couldn't get the situation out of his mind. The relationship he had put so much time and effort into had ended so abruptly. One day he met up with his old friend Sebastian, who he went to high school with. They hadn't seen each other for months, as Julian was spending all his free time with Leah. "Can you imagine? She dumped me like a stray puppy," Julian said, taking a sip of his beer and avoiding Sebastian's sympathetic gaze. Sebastian looked at his friend, hesitant to share what he knew. "You know, I work at a bank, and just the other day one of our big clients came to visit us." True, he wasn't alone, but with his wife. "I've seen pictures of Leah before, so I immediately recognized her in this visitor." "Go on," Julian asked, intrigued. Sebastian began to tell Julian about Leah's deception and the fact that she was actually married. After listening to the story, Julian sat there looking as if he had been submerged in water. "How could I have been so blind as not to notice anything? Could you give me her husband's phone number?" he asked sharply and very seriously. "What? But that's actually against our company's internal rules," Sebastian replied, visibly taken aback. "Please," Julian insisted, and Sebastian nodded silently after a moment's hesitation. The betrayed man, seized by the desire to take revenge on Leah for her cruel game with his feelings and deception of his own spouse, decided to call Daniel and tell him everything. However, his call was cut off several times. Frustrated, Julian sent a text message detailing all the facts proving Leah's infidelity, and feeling satisfied, focused on his own affairs. Julian didn't know that Leah had her husband's cell phone that night and was the first to read the incriminating texts. Daniel had nothing to hide. His phone was always prominently displayed at home. Seizing the opportunity while her husband was away, Leah quickly deleted all messages and blocked Julian to prevent any further contact with her husband. A month passed and Julian was sure that the unfaithful wife had been kicked out of the house in disgrace, receiving the punishment she deserved. But just when he thought he was beginning to move on with his life, fate prepared an unexpected meeting for him. After a successful day of work and making deals, he decided to have dinner at his favorite restaurant. To his surprise, he noticed Leah there, and she was not alone, but with her husband. Julian was furious. Deep down, he had never forgiven Leah, and he craved revenge. He walked over to the couple's table, grabbed a chair from a neighboring table, and sat down defiantly next to them. "What do you want?" asked Daniel, clearly surprised. "My name is Julian. Didn't you read my message about your wife?" he said, smiling at the stunned husband. The betrayed man was determined to get revenge on Leah for cruelly playing with his feelings and for deceiving her own husband. Security, alerted by the commotion, rushed there, finding a visibly shaken Leah. "Call security. What's the message?" asked Sebastian, clearly confused and concerned. "I'll show you," Julian replied, pulling out his cell phone. Before the guards could intervene, he managed to show Daniel all the evidence he had collected. Their photos together, their correspondence, and the tickets he had bought for their planned trip. It was clear from the shocked expression on Sebastian's face that he was seeing all of this for the first time. "She cheated on you for almost 6 months. I had no idea she was married. I hope you do the sensible thing," Julian stated as he stood up from the table and headed for the exit. He smiled slyly at Leah, who sat stunned and at a loss for words. Not surprisingly, after seeing such compelling evidence, Daniel did not believe Leah's excuses. He immediately filed for divorce. In an instant, she lost her luxurious home, access to great wealth, and the carefree life she had enjoyed. Although she was able to obtain some money legally, her lavish lifestyle quickly depleted those funds. After her divorce, Leah tried to resume her modeling career, but was told that she could no longer participate in major runway shows. Then she had to settle for an ordinary job, but she did not abandon her aspirations for a rich life, continuing to seek relationships with wealthy and promising men. A couple of times she even became a victim of fraudsters. taking them for rich and successful people. However, fate taught her many more lessons, clearly demonstrating the consequences of her actions and the true meaning of life.